I use a pipe in the shop pretty much every day. Pipe clamp, that is. Stick around, we'll show you what they're all about and how to use them. So pipe clamps are the subject of the day. What do you use it for? How do you use it? Where do you find them? Every time that we're in the wood shop, we're gluing pieces of wood together with glue, obviously. What we have to do to make that bond hold is we have to put pressure on it. So we put pressure on those bonds and those joints with clamps. The most common one that I like to use is a pipe clamp. It's literally a piece of pipe, 3/4 inch gas pipe, black pipe, and then you get these little clamps, things from a company called Pony, that allow you to tighten that clamp up on that rod. And the cool thing about it is they're threaded. So you take one end of your standard 3/4 inch black pipe, put it into the other end, tighten it up, and there you got one end of your pipe clamp. Then the other end is put on with these levers. You close them up, put it on there. There you got your typical pipe clamp. Very much adjustable for length. Let's tighten this end all the way up as tight as we can get it. So there I've got, that's probably a 24 inch pipe, so I can probably put 17, 18 inches worth of product in there. All you do, get your wood in there, 2 joints in here, you just crank this up and give it the pressure that it needs to create that bond. So it's just a pipe clamp, typically available in black gas pipe, and sometimes they're galvanized. Doesn't matter. 3/4 inch pipe is 3/4 inch pipe. These are 12 or 24 inch long pieces of pipe. What happens if you're gluing up a 5 foot long piece now and all you got's 2 foot clamps? You pretty much, you get one of these couplers, take this end off on one of them, put this coupler on there. It's threaded the same way as the rest of them are. That thread's on there. Let's take this end off as well. Now, I've got a clamp down here that's pretty soon, probably closer to the neighborhood of 4 feet long. So I can put the regular adjustable end on it. I can put the regular end on it. And I can take the length of my pipe clamps and make them a whole bunch longer. So if I've got long projects, I've had glue-ups that I've had to do that were 10 and 12 feet long, where I've taken 5 footers and put a 2 footer in the middle and gone out there to get the dimension that I need. So with this, you can minimize the number of pipes that you've got to own, and you just put some couplers in the middle of it. It works out real well. And with these, I can't even imagine how much total pressure you can apply to a joint with a clamp like this, probably in the neighborhood of 150 pounds per square inch. I do not think that we are humanly possible or capable of applying too much pressure to a joint. Then there's a discussion. Some people say just get enough to get squeeze out. Some people say crank it up like you're a gorilla. I'm probably somewhere in the middle. I like to make sure it's genuine tight, so I've got enough pressure on there to catalyze that wood glue to make a really, really good bond. Something that you'll want to do if you go out and you buy a new pipe, this will come with a bit of an oil on it to keep it from rusting. Comes from the factory that way. Take something like lacquer thinner or alcohol and wipe it down real good to get rid of that oil, and then go ahead and wax it so you don't get that wax getting into your product, your wood. And know that if you've got a glue joint here, glue is seeping out and it's in contact with that pipe, you're going to get that black spot on the top of your piece that you're going to have to take off. So what I'll sometimes do is, if I've got some scraps laying around, like today I don't, but if I've got this laid on top of my piece of wood, take a couple biscuits like you're using for your biscuit joiner and just set them under there as spacers. Space your piece just above your surface so it doesn't affect how it's pulling on the pieces, but it keeps them elevated off of your top of your panel glue up to prevent that black stain from getting on your wood. It'll come out with a card scraper, it'll come out by sanding it and all that, but prevent it. It's easier to prevent it than having to deal with it afterwards. So we can go ahead and uncouple this, put our base back on. just like that, and we got our piece ready to go. Something else that's critical when you're gluing up with pipe clamps, you're putting a lot of pressure on that panel glue up. What I'll do is I'll space my clamps about 1 foot apart, and I'll have the wood on the top of this set. Now, I had a board here, but I don't anymore. So I'll put one board, when my board's going across here, I'll have the clamp on the bottom of it, pulling up. The next one, I'll turn it over and have my clamp on the top of my piece. So rather than having all that pressure pulling from one direction and possibly crowning that glue up that I'm working on, if I put the pressure on both sides, one will countermand the other, and it'll help my glue up stay really nice and flat. So always alternate them, space them about 1 foot apart, depending on how long your piece is, and put one clamp on the bottom, one on the bottom, alternate them all the way down the line. Tighten them up real good and tight, nice and even. And then what I'll always do too is, once I've got it in glue, I'll get my pencil out or my marker. Not a magic marker by any means, because that's hard to sand out, but get your crayon or get your pencil out, mark the time on it so you know when it went into clamps. That way, minimum of a couple hours, but if you can do it overnight, that much better. I've had situations where I've had to get stuff done in a real hurry, borderline emergency stuff, where I had to know exactly when it went into clamps, so I knew pretty much the limits of when I could take it out. I took a project out one time, only 35 minutes into clamps. It didn't come apart, but I always mark the time so I know when it went in. I always try to glue my projects together in the evening, late afternoon, so they can sit overnight before I get to them. But that's what bar clamps are. They're the most commonly used clamps in the wood shop. There are other parallel type clamps, there are other squeeze clamps, but when you really got to put the pressure down on something and make sure it's going to hold by getting the appropriate pressure on it when you've got the appropriate amount of glue on it, get some good old everyday pipe clamps, and we'll link down below to where you can get those, whether it's the box stores or a plumbing supply store, whatever. Go out and buy the pipe clamps. If you find them at a yard sale or at an auction somewhere, you can get them for less than $10 a piece, snap them up. As often as you can. They're just about indestructible. They'll last you for a long time. These pony components are really good. They do a great job. They're the flagship of the bar clamp industry. So go ahead and get some of those. That's everything that we do with bar clamps. There's an old adage that says you can never have too many clamps. And it is true. Someday I'll give you a tour of my clamp wall, and you'll see what it's like to be a contender for he who has the most clamps wins. That's bar clamps. If you got questions, you got comments, things you'd like clarity on, just put a note down below, let us know that, and check out the affiliate links for where to buy the pieces to put your bar clamps together.